Part 3. One weekend, Emma and I decided to go out of town for a short getaway, hoping to spend some quality time together. We went hiking, enjoyed nature, and for the first time in a while, it was just us. No distractions. On the second evening, while we were sitting by a campfire, Emma brought up Jake. "I've been thinking a lot about us lately," she said, staring into the fire, "and about how things changed when new people come into our lives." I looked at her, not sure where she was going with this. "I love you, Alex," she continued, "but I won't lie. Sometimes when I'm with Jake, I wonder what it would have been like if we had dated back in college. We were really close back then. And now that we've reconnected, it's brought back some old feelings." Her honesty stunned me. But I appreciated it. She wasn't telling me she wanted to be with Jake, but the fact that she had these feelings worried me. I could see how she had struggled with her thoughts, much like I had with Lily. "I understand, Emma," I said slowly. "It's hard when feelings from the past resurface. But just like you stood by me when I was confused about Lily, I'm here for you now." She smiled. And I could see the relief in her eyes. "I know, Alex. I don't want anything to come between us. But I think it's important we talk about these things, rather than bury them." We both sat in silence for a while, letting the crackle of the fire fill the space between us. In that moment, I realized something important. Relationships aren't just about falling in love and being happy all the time. They're about facing challenges, dealing with insecurities, and growing together, even when new people enter the picture. As the days went on, I worked hard to make sure Emma felt secure in our relationship, and she did the same for me. We kept open communication, talking about our concerns, our feelings, and making sure we didn't let outside influences come between us. Mia and I remained friends, but I was mindful of my time with her, making sure it didn't overshadow my relationship with Emma. As for Jake, he and Emma continued to stay in touch. But she made it clear to him where her heart was, with me. As the weeks went by, things between Emma and me seemed to settle into a new rhythm. Mia and I remained good friends at work, but I made sure to keep things strictly professional. I noticed that Emma had started to relax about Mia, and we talked openly whenever any concerns came up. Similarly, Emma's connection with Jake had evolved into a comfortable friendship, and while I knew there were lingering feelings, I trusted her. We had reached a point where we were stronger, more open, and more honest with each other. But I appreciated it. She wasn't telling me she wanted to be with Jake, but the fact that she had. In that moment, I realized something important. Relationships aren't just about falling in love. Of mine, we hadn't seen each other in years, but she had recently moved back to the city and reached out to reconnect. I remembered Rachel as a fun, energetic person who was always full of life. Back in high school, we had been close, very close. There had even been a time when I thought we might become something more, but life took us in different directions and nothing ever came of it. When Rachel texted me out of the blue, I was surprised but happy to hear from her. We agreed to meet for coffee one afternoon just to catch up. I didn't think much of it, after all. It had been years and we were just old friends catching up, but when I saw her sitting at the cafe, smiling at me with that same spark in her eyes, I felt a familiar rush of memories. "Alex, wow. It's been forever." Rachel greeted me with a big hug, her energy just as infectious as remembered. We spent the next hour reminiscing about old times, laughing about our high school days, and talking about what we had been up to over the years. Rachel hadn't changed much, she was still the same bubbly, confident girl I remembered, but there was something else now. She had matured, become more grounded, and as we talked, I found myself enjoying her company more than I had expected. "So are you seeing anyone?" Rachel asked casually as she sipped her coffee. "Yeah," I replied, smiling. "I'm with someone. Her name's Emma, and things are going really well." Rachel raised an eyebrow, a playful smirk on her face. "Well, that's great. I'm happy for you. You always deserved someone special." I thanked her, but something about the way she said it made me feel a little uneasy. It was as if there was an underlying tension in her words, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. Still, I shrugged it off. We were just friends, right? After that coffee, Rachel and I started texting occasionally, mostly just casual conversations about work or life. But there was an energy between us that I couldn't ignore. It wasn't romantic, not exactly, but there was definitely a spark. And I knew I needed to be careful. One night, as Emma and I were cooking dinner together, she asked, "So how was catching up with Rachel?" I hadn't told Emma much about Rachel yet, mostly because I didn't want to worry her unnecessarily. But I knew now was the time to be upfront. "It was nice," I said. "We talked about old times and what we've been up to. She's back in the city now, so we might hang out occasionally." Emma paused, stirring the pasta on the stove. "Rachel, that's the girl you were really close with in high school, right?" I nodded. "Yeah, but it's nothing like that. We're just friends." Emma looked at me, her expression calm, but thoughtful. "I trust you, Alex. I do. But you know how these things go. Just be careful, okay?" "I will," I promised. There's nothing to worry about. But deep down, I knew I had to keep an eye on my own feelings. Rachel wasn't just some random person from my past. She had been important to me once. And those old feelings, however faint, were still there. I couldn't let them interfere with what occasionally. Emma paused, stirring the pasta on the stove. "Rachel, that's the girl you were really." That underlying tension, that unspoken connection that hung in the air whenever we talked. I found myself thinking about her more than I should, and I knew I needed to create some distance. There's nothing to worry about. But deep down, I knew I had to keep an eye on my own feelings. "Wrong. Alex, I need to talk to you," she said, her usual confidence gone. "Can we meet up?" I hesitated, knowing that meeting up with her might not be the best idea, but I also couldn't turn her down when she was clearly upset. "Okay," I agreed. "Let's meet at the park." When I arrived, Rachel was sitting on a bench, looking uncharacteristically vulnerable. As I sat down beside her, she turned to me with tears in her eyes. "I don't know how to say this, Alex, but I've been struggling ever since we reconnected." Seeing you again brought back a lot of feelings I thought I'd buried." My heart sank. I hadn't expected this, but I knew what she meant. There had always been something between us, even back in high school, but we had never acted on it. "I'm with Emma," I said softly, trying to make things clear. "I know," Rachel whispered. "And I don't want to come between you two, but I had to tell you how I feel." I sighed, running a hand through my hair. This was exactly what I had been afraid of. There's nothing to worry about. But deep down, I knew I had to keep an eye on my own feelings. "I care about you, Rachel," I said, choosing my words carefully. "But Emma is the person I want to be with. I can't let anything get in the way of that." Rachel nodded, wiping away a tear. "I understand. I just needed to get it off my chest." We sat there for a while, the silence between us heavy with unspoken words. Eventually, Rachel stood up, gave me a small smile, and walked away. When I got home that night, Emma could tell something was on my mind. "Is everything okay?" she asked gently. I looked at her, knowing that I had to be honest. Rachel told me she still has feelings for me. Emma's eyes widened slightly, but she didn't seem surprised. "And what did you say?" I told her I'm with you, and that's not going to change. Emma smiled, relief washing over her face. "Thank you for being honest, Alex. I know this isn't easy. But I trust you." In that moment, I realized how much I had grown, how much Emma and I had grown together. Yes, there were always going to be new people, new challenges, but as long as we kept communicating, kept choosing each other, we could face anything. And so, life moved forward once again. Rachel and I drifted apart, and Emma and I continued to build our life together stronger than ever. Life, as it tends to, continued to evolve. Emma and I had weathered the storms of old feelings, new faces, and unexpected twists. We had built something stronger than before. But there were still moments when I found myself reflecting on everything that had happened. Rachel, Mia, and Jake, they had all been part of our journey, but Emma and I had come out on top. We chose each other every day, and that choice made all the difference. One day, as Emma and I were relaxing at home after a long week, she looked at me with a thoughtful expression. "You know, Alex," she began, "we've been through a lot together. I feel like we've really grown, both as individuals and as a couple. But there's one more thing I think we should talk about." I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What's on your mind?" Emma hesitated for a moment, then smiled. "Marriage? I mean, we've been together for a while now. Don't you think it's time we talked about what comes next?" The word, marriage, hung in the air between us, and I felt my heart skip a beat. It wasn't that I hadn't thought about it. I had. But hearing Emma bring it up made it feel so real. Like the next chapter in our story was waiting to be written. I took a deep breath, reaching out to take her hand. "I thought about it too, Emma. I want to be with you, forever. But I guess I was waiting for the right time to bring it up." Emma grinned, her eyes sparkling. "Well, I'm bringing it up now. What do you think? Are we ready?" I looked into her eyes, feeling a wave of love and gratitude for everything we had been through. "Yeah, Emma. I think we are." And just like that, the conversation shifted from a hypothetical future to a real one. We started talking about what kind of wedding we'd want, where we'd want to live, what our dreams for the future looked like. It was exciting, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of certainty about where we were headed. But, as life often does, it threw one more curveball our way. A few weeks after our marriage conversation, I got a call from an old friend of mine, Mark. We hadn't been in touch for years, but he had heard through mutual friends that I was doing well, and he wanted to reconnect. Mark was the kind of guy who brought energy wherever he went. He had always been the life of the party, and back in the day, we had been inseparable. We decided to meet up for drinks one evening, and when I walked into the bar,